It is my pleasure to introduce a special speaker, Mark Kerzner. What is special about him, if you look on our website, Mark speaks 10 different languages, and we should put him in a competition with a deep learning model to see who speaks better. But he speaks 10 different languages, and he's the founder of Elephant Scale. And today he would like to share with you his experience about machine learning by describing views on machine learning with practical examples from multiple industries, since his company, the Elephant Scale, anyway, is a consulting business. So they deal with different business problems. So let's welcome Mark, please, with a big applause. Mark, please.
Thank you, Khalifa. You hear me all right, right? Okay, great. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank the organizer, Khalifa. I think it's a wonderful conference. When I came in a little late, I saw the warmth. I saw that was a relaxed, very pleasurable conference. You could see it the minute you enter. So thank you very much. Also, everybody who spoke before me, that was wonderful to be here. Thank you. And now I can start. And before I do, since you mentioned anyway, competition with the machines, that does bother me, because there is a machine coming out which you talk in one language and it speaks out in another one. So all these years that I spent learning the languages, they may go to waste after all. On the other hand, if you can think about it in a different way, those people who really do learn languages now will be even more special, because if you have the machine, nobody will learn the language. So I still have a hope. Okay, that's what I'll be talking about, because as Khalifa mentioned, we do training and consulting. And so, as I will show you, we meet a lot of people. First of all, I'll talk about who am I, so that you know how to put this into context. What's my company? And then I'll continue with all the examples that I have found very interesting. What we do is travel around and teach big data and machine learning. In my case, it has to be travel around because I'm in Houston, Texas, and amazingly enough, don't go to Houston to find a job in machine learning or in big data. Go for every other job. It's an amazing place for anything else, but not that. So you'll be traveling. Great place though. Yeah, I do know kind of languages, and the one that I'm learning now is Chinese. My story was that I was learning it for quite a while, and then I met an Uber driver. She said, what you're learning is wrong. You're doing it without reading and writing. So go back, start with lesson 1. I went back, so right now I'm stuck on this phrase. I'll read it to you. Washi imin chuzuchi jit siji. That means I'm a taxi driver. And it's a very interesting phrase. You really it is, I'm one wonderful driver. Well, language also teaches you a lot about the culture too. So I also work not only in teaching, but also doing. Otherwise, there is a big suspicion that I just teach and don't do anything. And that is my work with Memics and DARPA. There will be another presenter who will tell you much more about what people do there. It's a very interesting conference. I mean, very interesting organization, a very interesting way they do it together. But my particular work is based on FREED. That's a big data product for lawyers. Yes, I have an online law degree also, and it helps lawyers to find the evidence. So it is a lot of fun. My daughter presents it as a popcorn analogy. It's as easy as popcorn. That's why this picture. And there's many lawyers who are desirous of this popcorn. Now the company, we started this 5 years ago because we felt like we couldn't learn it, then we did. So probably other people have the same problem. We will help the other people. We started by writing this open source book. You can read about Hadoop. There is also a cartoon book for kids. So if you Google on coloring book about Hadoop for kids, you will find it, and you can print it and give it to your kids, and while you're working, so they will be doing that. But by now we've done quite a few courses and have seen a lot of applications. So we usually go in this mode that I told you: learn, travel, teach, and repeat. So the first thing will be a little bit philosophical, and I apologize if that's not very technical, but do people do concern themselves with philosophy also, being geeks? We'll see how that comes in. So let's start on what I've seen. I've been teaching for quite a while, and I've seen a few interesting things. Number one is I think that people are getting smarter. That's a unbelievable thing to say because there are philosophies in which people are really getting stupider. I'll give an example of their reasoning. It's Renaissance time. Leonardo da Vinci, he could work in any shape and form. And he also was a poet and a writer and a painter. We cannot do this. On the other hand, I see that people are getting smarter. One example is Scala. Scala is a beautiful language which does something to your brain and you become smarter. That's how people see it now. But about, let's say, 6 years ago, you couldn't even start the project in Scala because who is going to continue? You might be smart, but nobody else will be able to maintain that project. So it was a no-go. Now I see that is not the case at all. Instead, people say, okay, Scala, I teach that as part of Spark and it goes very well. So I think that the humanity, kind of the programming humanity kind of changes their understanding and by now they are ready to do more complicated stuff. That's what I expect you to do today. The Scala itself, there are a couple of points of view on Scala too. First of all, what is DSL? DSL is domain-specific language. Let's say I'm writing a software system for doctors, and I'm writing it, let us say, in Java. Then my doctors cannot read what I'm writing, and I cannot understand what they're writing either. And that's the problem, because I write something that doctors don't need after all. However, and this is Barbara Parsons, a great talker, she explains that DSL is the way out of this catch. That if you write a language that reflects what they're saying, then you can create systems that will do exactly what the doctors really want. So this is the idea of DSL, and some say that it's the way of the future, DSLs. Some say that Scala was pushed into the limelight by Spark, but Martin Odersky, the author of Scala, he says just the opposite. It says Spark is nothing else but a DSL, a domain-specific language for big data. As far as he's concerned, he prepared the foundation. But who is right? That's what I want to ask you. Who is right of these 2 points of view? As you see, I already told you the answer I expected to give, both. Sometimes you need to see both points of view and understand that it is okay that both people are right. Now, 2 more examples, and then we'll go into the technical side. Vegetarianism, is it good or bad? Right, so there are some arguments about health, we'll put them aside. But Pythagoras and his students believed in reincarnation. And therefore, if a human, and especially his friend, might become a cow, and then he eats that cow later on, that's not a good idea. And therefore, they wouldn't eat meat. Besides, he said that meat really sullies your soul and blocks your higher access to reality. There is, however, that sounds good, it might be true. However, there is another interesting point of view, which says just the opposite. If a human behaved kind of like a cow, then he deserves to be reincarnated as a cow. Now, we still want to help him. We want to slaughter and eat that cow so that he goes back to being a human. Which one is right? Now here, by the way, both are right. Later on, you can come over and I'll tell you which situation does every point of view apply to. So to see a higher picture, to see something that's not obvious and understand that other people could be right, not because they're really absolutely right, but because they see another part of the truth and another part of the reality. That's what I want people to go now that they can do Scala, they can do Spark, so they can do philosophy as well. Immortality. Well, that's a quite philosophical thing, unless you read the news. So 2 weeks ago, they started a startup that will provide immortality to people. Have you heard about it? Some people have, right? If not, just Google. Silicon Valley will give us immortality, you'll find it. Now, the assumption in doing this is that death is a bad thing. It's bad to die. Not everybody agrees about this. First of all, I'll give you one story about the Xuanzang. That was a monk who went from China to India to get holy books. On his way, he was met by a band of robbers who regularly sacrificed humans for their success. And they thought that he was nice looking and smart and just the right kind of person to sacrifice. So that's what they proceeded to do. He said to them, if you want to sacrifice me, then it's great, I wish you success, and actually I am willing to help you if that brings you luck. But I have a suspicion that you won't achieve your goal, because I'm going to India to get those holy books. I am not completed with my task yet. And so if you sacrifice me now, could be that you bring yourself bad luck instead of good luck. Did they listen? Not a bit. They said, sounds great, but we're going to sacrifice you anyway. So he said, give me a few minutes. And he went into meditation where he visited the upper realms. And particularly, he visited what's called the Buddha Maitreya. That's the future Buddhism which will make now. I'm not a Buddhist per se, but I think it's a great example and we should learn from everybody. So that is the future Buddha which will show the truth of the humanity. And he also prayed that he will be reincarnated. And when he comes back, he should come back to these same people and convince them that it is a very wrong thing to kill. That worked immediately because there was a big storm and they understood that they can't possibly sacrifice. And they said, I think we need to submit ourselves as students to you. That's what they did. He accepted them and they began their ascent in this way. And another point of view on the same thing is the hospices. Hospices are a popular movement now. When the person decides, or when something decides that he's gonna die, there are two ways to go. One is fight until the end. And another one is go ahead and die. There is nothing wrong with that. You know, the assumption that we are going to live forever assumes that we don't have reincarnations. Because if we do, why should I be stuck in this reincarnation when the next one might be better? So it's not obvious. And that's what I'm trying to see here, that please, when you program, think of why am I doing this and what's the real purpose. Now we can go into the more practical advice. So if you look at the advice, Andrew Ng is a very wonderful guy. He is a chief scientist at Baidu. And one of his recent presentations, he gave very practical advice. He said, he thinks that AI is the new electricity. It will change the world. And deep learning, he said, is in now because of the size. At the reasonable scale of a neural network, you get reasonable results. Bigger size, a little bit better. But today's sizes give you absolutely precise results. So that's, he said, is it. And therefore, how to do it? He said, practically, read the paper, do what they've done, reproduce the results. The next step, read another paper. Do it 20 times. You'll have your own ideas, he said. Look at Thomas Mikolov. That guy is the author of Work to Vec, it's text processing method. And look at his latest podcast. There he says, forget it all. It's not fun anymore. We have conferences after conferences. I'm quoting directly, I'm not inventing. And in all these conferences, people build more and more those neural network systems to recognize more and more cats. And that's not the way to go because there's still people doing it. We need to build a system that will learn from reality and it will improve itself and keep learning. That will be the real artificial intelligence. So he has outlined his approach. Now, which one is right? You already know the answer. Both are right. We just need to see what situation they're right. Now, I want to show you just practical examples of machine learning and how they play out in the world. Because I'm not going to show you the deep insights into how you do this technologically, but rather, I want to give you an example of how you do this from the point of view of what's the problem? How do I find something that's useful? Here's one. And by the way, the source of that is Cisco use cases. They're all patented. They were told to me by one of the distinguished engineers there, and they are all real. So number one, it's called optimizing customer supported outages. This is what it means. People love watching TV. How many people love watching TV here? Not too many. I'm in the other side. I also don't quite. So I had to ask him many questions because I never watched TV. I don't understand what is he talking about. But some people do. I understand, and that's something people do. And so sometimes there is an outage, and those people who want to watch suffer. They cannot watch the TV. Then you need to do something because they're upset and probably will cancel the subscription. What you do is give them something nice, give them a movie, give them something else. But the problem is that you're teaching them to lie because next time they will call and say, I had an outage, so could you give me another free movie? And that won't be true. You have to distinguish the people who were affected and those who were impacted. Affected means that in their area, perhaps there was no outage. There was an outage, but he was at work. He didn't care one bit. That's pretty hard to distinguish. We don't know, and we cannot rely on their claims as opposed to, yes, he really was there and he suffered. That's what you do. You model it. Since Cisco controls all of the network, it knows when people click. All they do, from what I hear from them, is watch those clicks and process those clicks, store those clicks in NoSQL databases and reprocess them again. So they can get a lot of information out of that, and one of them is simple clustering. Cluster into what's normal behavior and what's the behavior of a nervous person who is clicking around and he's frustrated because he doesn't get the TV. And then you can now know exactly which people didn't get it and address them and solve their problem by giving something nice and something free. So at first, the way they offer that is offered as a service, because Cisco has those clients and clients provide TV, but Cisco then offers as an additional service this mitigation of the outages. That was number one. Number two, optimizing content value prediction. Let's say you are, again, a provider of this content and you buy it from many artists. It turns out that there are more artists in the world than the content. There is more, I just recently read that, there is more porn content than people can ever watch. And you need to choose, not necessarily porn, but you need to choose what you're going to show to your audience depending upon what audience it is. So you may have just 1/5 of the budget that you want, and you would really like to have a way to choose the best possible content for your particular audience. How would you do this? Well, again, Cisco, because they control all of that for multiple providers, they can measure the content success, and they can build a model. The model turns out to be either as a regression or decision tree. They use both, and then you can predict for each new content, you can predict depending upon the audience which will have the more success. You can then go into more recommendations. For example, you can provide them with what's the best for the daytime, what's the best for the nighttime, based on this model. So that was number two. Number three, people are good creatures. The way it works is this: if you want to do penetration testing, you come into the room and you tell to the secretary, "I'm Jimmy Jones delivery, and that's hot, so please let me in." And many times they do. Even now, my son works as a security hacker, I know. But that's not the right thing to do. So even though people are good, but sometimes they do the wrong thing, so they share their passwords. You know, I have this wonderful movie channel, here's my password. Now, the providers don't like that, rightfully so. So people share it, they share also Wi-Fi access, they share other things. What can be done about this? Now, when I'll show you what can be done about this, you may get a little nervous because it does sound like a big brother watching. But that's reality, so let's look at this reality. You can model the behavior of a person when it's just one. You know, which devices, which IPs he's coming from, what the combination, and now you can look at another person and build an anomaly behavior between him and other people. So it will be unsupervised learning totally, and then you can find out suspicious groups. Those logs of usage, they're updated daily by Cisco, and every day they are recalculated, and so every time the provider can get an indication that this seems to be a way of sharing. Now, sharing can be of a different type. Some people just like each other, and so they give access. But some people have a whole business there. They say, we all give $1, and then we have a shared free access. So you can tell even that. You can say even what kind of access, what was it. There are also stolen accounts. Sometimes that account was taken away from you. You're not to be blamed at all. And you shouldn't. So in that case, we need an indication that it was just stolen. So yes, you can, with this model, you can do that too. Another one. So first, that's what they give back, but I already described that. STB. STB is set-top box, which again I have to learn, and it's a big difference if you are buying it for yourself or if you are buying it for a business. It could be 10 to 25 times more for a business, especially for a pub. So what do? Very simple. You buy something that you call your private residential subscription, but you show it in a bar. Buy maybe 2 or 3 TVs and it works. That's a problem for providers, right? It may be okay for you. So what they do is they send they hire a lot of students and they send each student to a bar. And the student just sits there on a specific day. And then they send a signal which says to the device, display card ID. So suddenly it flashes. Nobody understands what it is, and they don't have to. It's just some interruption. But the student knows what it is, writes it down, and sends it to them. And they check, was this public display really what is private? Well, what do you do about that? That's not such a great idea. It's kind of mechanical turk today. You should have something better. Indeed, there is something better. You can create a model which will say, well, these are publicly watched TVs. What you can do is, of course, you can imagine what will be. For example, in a public place, probably it's usually loud. It's usually on the same channel. People don't flip there in a public place. It's usually same time. But of course, you need many more predictors. Once you get them, you can tell that as a suspicious use. So then you do it even easier. You go open the yellow pages, find all the businesses there, and run your analytics just on the business in this area and send a little note. Usually today, what works is first time allowed, second time warned, and the third time out, right? So you don't have to sue them, but at least you can very politely and nicely minimize that kind of misuse. Another interesting approach is this. You buy this set-top box and you stream it to your website. From the website, you show it to thousands of people. And if you can also charge for that, then it's even better. And now you got the money machine, right? You just invest $10 and you get thousands of dollars. That is this perpetuum mobile that people were always working for. Well, that's what you think, but that's not what the providers think. So how are they to deal with this? Okay, the answer here is that, again, they collect those logs and they find the patterns that characterize that kind of use. A few things that they can predict. That's the regular pattern that shows me that this guy is uploading to a website. That's different. The amount of data, the length of the transmission, and all other additional things are also shown there. In addition, if you have both, if you provide both the web, the Wi-Fi, and the content, then you can compare them also in this algorithm. So that was another one in machine learning. Another interesting thing, which is created purely because of the legal reasons, and here it is. Some people are not at home when there is this show that they like, so they need to record it. And later on, when they come home, they will watch that show. So, okay, no problem, similarly. But there is a regulation which says that a company is not allowed to store one recording for many people. Why? I don't know. But you're not allowed. If somebody saved a match and another one saved the same thing, you need to save 2 copies. That's a requirement of the legal side. Well, now you don't know what to do. If you save it for everybody, it's too much. And if you delete it for everybody, you would have to recreate it every time. What do you do? Any ideas? How can you optimize this? Huh? Timestamps. Timestamp. You mean you will timestamp when the recording was?
Like from minute 1 to minute 5, that's what user 1, and then minute 5 what the user 2 say.
All right. So these 2 users will have, I'm trying to repeat what you said, right? So you timestamp when they saved it. That actually was at the same time because they were saving the same show. So my question is, how should I decide whether to delete this content and so save on my storage right now, but then if he still wants it again, and I don't know how many times he will repeat it, then I need to keep it. It's cheaper to keep it. Yes?
We make everybody store local copies, right? It's inefficient, but
It's inefficient, right? In other words, they should buy themselves an additional storage box and store it.
Rebroadcast it. You can rebroadcast it if some people are.
And then you can rebroadcast your own, and nobody will catch you, right? There you are. I like it. Yes.
I put a tag on the copy
you send a tag out that says, hey, you know, I'm watching it. And if someone else plays that same copy with the same tag, you just don't authorize them to watch that copy.
I see. So you think that the problem is that they steal each other copy?
Like they make, like one person has it and they make a file and then they make duplicates of the file and hand out the file out. And then when they watch, everyone's watching the same file, you would say this particular person has a particular tag. And so then you have some sort of, when you click it on play, goes to a server very quickly, says yes or no, and says yes to one person and no to everyone else.
I like it, but I think it's because I put you in this hacker, robber and cop and robbers mood. Because here we're not looking for violators. We're looking to, we need a separate physical copy of every recording by law. Stupid law, but we need a separate copy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I need to optimize whether to store this copy forever or to drop it. Yes?
What about previous behavior patterns that you can have to compare against?
Yes, and that's, if you see my next slide, did you? No, it's not showing, right. So that's the solution. Some of the contents is viewed a lot, and some not. And not in general, but even by that particular person. We understand that the beginning of the idea will come from the fact that sports events are usually recorded for just one replay. Yeah, once you saw it once, you know who won. But movies are different. This one, by the way, is one of my favorite Chinese movies by a wonderful film director, Zhang Yimou. So if you're interested, then you'll be getting the slides to see that movie. You have his name here. And that's what I watched a number of times in order that I can, if not fight like them, but at least speak like them. All right, it really does cluster, as you suggested, clusters into group, and you can, by each user, you can predict his pattern of use. And now that you know his pattern of use, you can suggest whether to delete or keep a specific recording, because you will get recommendations by a specific recording. Okay, that's it. So wishing everybody just a great conference, because so far it's going just wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So we have space for a couple of questions. Who would like to ask any question, please? Go ahead.
This is not related to your talk. Can you list the languages?
Okay, yes. Okay, Russian. I'm from Russia, St. Petersburg, Russia. Then German, Italian, French, Spanish, Dutch, which I liked because I liked it more than German. And then Hebrew, Aramaic, which is a language in which the people spoke a long time ago. Did I get to tennis yet? And Chinese, I'm learning Chinese. And I tried a lot of other languages. So they come in and out, right? But right now, I was afraid somebody will try to test me.
All right. Not to speak, right?
No.
Okay.
I'm just curious, why the reincarnation analogy was prevalent to your talk? I'm just trying to link the two together.
Okay, I can't escape that. I like philosophy, but I wouldn't be able to just speak about philosophy because it's a technical conference. However, seeing that people are going into immortality and they're taking it very seriously and very real, just 2 weeks ago, I thought now it's the time to talk about, well, okay, we'll get the immortality. Is that the right thing to do? Not even to talk about wars that ruin that kind of invention, but still, do I want to be stuck in this reincarnation if I believe it? So it was related.
All right, so let's thank Mark for his great talk.
Thank you for all your questions.
All right.